Welcome back to Horn Takes, your Texas football and baseball talk destination. I am Sean Redfern. It is Monday. It is college football semifinal week. That's right, folks. We're in game week. I hope the new year is treating you guys well. At the very least, I hope it's not treating you bad. It's all about timing, right? Life throws stuff at us all the time. Sometimes it comes at the wrong time. We'll do our Trace Otra games recap from the quarterfinal weekend, see how we did. We'll do the after action review. I know we're a little late, but I don't care. Tomorrow we'll dive into those Ohio State Buckeyes ahead of the Cotton Bowl matchup. Check us out on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube at Horn Takes. We do a lot on Twitter. We used to do a lot on TikTok. The presence is slowly dying over there. YouTube's the place to be. YouTube and Twitter. That's where I do most of it. And I'm fixing to cancel doing podcasts at all in terms of sending a podcast to Apple Podcast and iHeart and Spotify and all that. So if you listen, please go over to the YouTube channel and just go ahead and subscribe there. You can listen to the audio if you're riding around in your car. You can do it there too. You don't have to watch just because it's in video. So again, probably another week or two, the Buzzsprout page going away, Apple Podcast going away, iHeart going away. Everything will be YouTube in a couple more weeks. Trace Otra games, college football playoff round 2, the quarterfinals. Some big games, obviously. We had number 6 Penn State at number 3 Boise State. We talked about this when we said, man, can James Franklin win a big game? 1-14 against top 5 opponents. Boise State coming in with Austin Jeanty. I mean, I think that guy was averaging almost 200 yards a game on the ground. So could they slow that guy down? We thought so. We said Boise State had an incredible year, and it was a really good year. But Penn State, man, that's big boy football. It's Big Ten football. It's just a different thing. We even mentioned we've seen Boise State do this before. We've seen them step up. Hell, we saw them do it earlier this year. They went on the road to Oregon, played a really close game with Oregon. Just didn't think they'd have enough in the quarterfinals against a Penn State team that's really pretty good. We thought Penn State get it done, but we thought Boise State would cover. We had Penn State 27, Boise State 24. Penn State ends up beating them by 17, 31-14. Just a pretty pretty good ass kicking. I mean, Jeanty didn't really do much, had a couple fumbles, which is really uncharacteristic for him. That Penn State defense just ate Boise State alive. And Penn State early had a lot of running success. They had a lot of success, period. Man, it got kind of out of hand pretty quick. 1-0 headed into game 2. Number 8, Ohio State against number 1, Oregon. We thought this one would come down to the quarterbacks. Who steps up the biggest? And I think it did. We were just wrong on which one we thought it would be. Dylan Gabriel made a lot of plays in that first game with Ohio State with his legs. And I like that about his game. He's a good passer. He's smart. He knows where to get the football. But he also can improvise and get some stuff done with his legs. And I really like that. I think that's a piece to the quarterback position that I don't think it goes largely unnoticed. I just think some people don't put a lot of emphasis on it the way they should. I mean, that's if you've got a quarterback that can put pressure on the defense with his legs, that's tough to defend. And then on the flip side, could Will Howard come in there and sort of repeat his performance that he had against Tennessee? As we said a second ago, we liked Dylan Gabriel in that matchup, man. We really did, but it just did not work out. We had Oregon winning a close one, 27-24. Ohio State blitzes Oregon 41-21 in the Rose Bowl. Ohio State, arguably the hottest team in college football right now. Get embarrassed by Michigan at home and then just blast Tennessee at home and then go to the Rose Bowl and blast a number one undefeated Oregon team. Sets up a matchup with the Texas Longhorns in the Cotton Bowl on Friday. So now we're 1-1 headed into the rubber match. The game gets delayed. The Notre Dame and Georgia game gets delayed because of the terrorist attack down there on Bourbon Street. That had to be tough. That had to be tough for the players, had to be tough for the families. That was tough on a lot of people. Obviously, the families of the people that passed away. I mean, goes without saying. I'm talking about those left behind that had to go play a football game. Rough deal, man. And then just a wild, sort of wacky weekend there, I guess, or week or whatever we want to call it. Kirby Smart's dad had a fall, I think before the game, broke his hip, had surgery, and then ends up passing away from complications to the surgery. So just a kind of a, I don't know what you'd call it, a cloud over the Sugar Bowl this year. Just not a great experience overall, I think, for college football fans and decent human beings that don't want other people to get killed. They end up playing this game, I believe, Thursday afternoon around 3:00 is when it kicked off. It was number 7 Notre Dame, number 2 Georgia. Question we had was, can the players around Stockton, Gunnar Stockton, can they lift him up? Can they sort of I mean, he's a new guy. I think he's talented, but he's new. And he only had a few weeks to prepare for his first start. And it's in the college football quarterfinals in the freaking Sugar Bowl of all places. Then he had an extra day to think about it, which I don't know that it makes a ton of difference, but it had to make some difference. So could that really talented Georgia roster sort of lift him up? And then I question, which coach loses patience first? We've talked a lot about Kirby Smart and just sort of his ability to just kind of stick with the game plan. Even when things aren't going well, he just kind of sticks with it, and kind of relies on a big playmaker on that team. He's recruited a ton of them to go make a play. We've seen Nick Saban do the same thing over the years there at Alabama, even probably at LSU before that. Just really comfortable in uncomfortable situations, just being patient and letting sort of the game come to them. Notre Dame, a big running team, not a big passing team. We saw in the game earlier this year against Texas A&M, they're perfectly fine. Just being patient, letting the game sort of come to them. So which one of these guys would lose patience first? Talked about how it's really hard to doubt Georgia. I mean, they've been the standard in college football. We've said that probably 100 times this year on this show. They're the gold standard of college football over the course of the last few years. We've seen them have injuries and just figure out a way to win games. They did it against Texas in the SEC championship game. Loaded roster. Kirby Smart's been there, played in a lot of these types of games. We said if Notre Dame could run the ball, though, this one was one they could win. Oddly enough, I think it was Kirby Smart that lost patience. Kind of some questionable calls there by Kirby Smart down the stretch. End up costing his team the game. We thought Georgia would be way too much in the trenches for Indy. We thought they'd win this one relatively comfortably, 23-16. They end up they end up losing to Notre Dame 23-10 to set up a Orange Bowl matchup between Penn State and Notre Dame and set up a college football quarterfinals that honestly most of the world probably just hates. You've got Ohio State and Texas, you got Notre Dame and Penn State, 4 of the blue bloods of college football, and probably 4 of the most hated programs in college football. Put a poll up and posited it to the SEC faithful. I said, this is on Twitter. If, you know, does your love for conference, is that enough to keep you rooting for Texas through the rest of this playoff? Or will your hatred for Texas prevail? Something along those lines. I don't know the exact wording. It was basically, do you love the SEC enough to root for Texas? Almost 400 people voted. It was really close. It was 51% SEC, SEC, SEC to 49% horns down. So I don't know what the voting breakout looked like. I don't even know if I can do that on Twitter. I'll have to go look at that. But really close. However, the SEC homers, the SEC fanboys that voted said they would root for Texas. 51% of them did, which is crazy because everybody hates Texas. So we go 1-2 in round 2 in Trace Otra games, and that'll wrap us up. We went 33-15 on the season. That's 68.8%. That's not too bad. We started off really good, man, and then we kind of had a couple of weekends here late where, man, it just was not good. Is what it is. We'll try again next year. The after action review on this Peach Bowl against Arizona State. Honestly debated about even doing this because this is one, man, it was rough watching it live on a TV. I wasn't there live, but it was rough watching it as it happened, and it was damn sure rough to go back and rewatch it. And I apologize to those that really dig the film sessions. I am not doing check tape on this one today. I just there was too much stuff, and I found myself getting really, really negative, and I don't want to do that headed into the quarterfinals. Excuse me, the semifinals. By the way, I think I said quarterfinal earlier when I was talking about the four-hated blue bloods. That's my bad. Semifinal. Probably said quarterfinal every time I meant to say semifinal, so give me a break. But I decided, no, I have to come and get some closure on this Peach Bowl. By the way, Texas, first school to win all 6 of the New Year's 6 bowls. So congratulations to the Longhorns for that. Our 4 keys for this game: 1, stop the run; 2, take the ball away; 3, don't forget the run game on offense; and 4, leave no doubt. Let's see how we did. Stop the run. It was a tale of 2 halves. I thought in the first half, Texas did an outstanding job stopping the run. Scattaboo had 13 carries for 39 yards in the first half, 3 yards per carry, 0 touchdowns. And the way Texas really jumped out on them after they had that first drive for a field goal, the way Texas went 14 unanswered in like a millisecond, basically, was one of those moments in the game. Awesome, but frustrating, because that was an opportunity for Texas to just absolutely bury Arizona State. And they just could not do it. Would not do it. Flip around to the second half. Scattaboo had 17 carries for 104 yards, 6.18 yards per carry, and 2 touchdowns. So he made up for having a sort of lackluster first half by putting in a second half that was outstanding. They could not put the game out of reach to keep Arizona State from being able to run the ball. And so in the second half, they just came out and ran the ball, and they did it. It got better and better as they did it. It's odd how that happens. You get tired of tackling a guy that's really physical. The offensive line starts to wear down the defensive line. Arizona State had 214 yards of total rushing, 4.4 yards per carry. Quarterback had a really good game running the ball, Sam Levitt. We talked about him. We said it. He's a problem. take the ball away. We noted headed into this game that Texas one of the best taking the ball away. Arizona State one of the best in the country not giving up the ball. And that Texas at the very least needed to be even. You know, we even said it like Quinn Ewers is going to turn the ball over. It's what he does, and I don't mean that negatively. It's just is what he does. I, I've never seen anything like it. Like that dude is gonna throw an interception. Sometimes it'll damn sure be his fault. Other times you're like, what in the hell just happened? But he's gonna do it, and so Texas needed to be able to match that. It took them a long time to do it, but they did. They finally got a takeaway in double overtime. Andrew Makuba goes up, basically runs the route for the wide receiver, makes a really nice play to intercept a pass down on like the 2-yard line, I think, to seal the deal for Texas. So we'll give them that. They took the ball away. They did it just enough. Don't forget the run game. I'm a mixed bag on this one. Texas didn't attempt its second run until the second quarter of the game. However, they scored a touchdown in about 10 seconds, their first drive. And then they got the ball back and ran a punt back for a touchdown. Then it just didn't have the ball that much in the second half, or in the first quarter, rather. Texas had 22 total rushing attempts by running backs for 49 yards, 2.23 yards per carry. 8 in the first half, 14 in the second half, and 2.23 just ain't going to get it done. We mentioned the time of possession. Texas had the ball 2 minutes and 1 second in the first quarter. And here's where I'm a mixed bag on this. I think Sark actually made an effort in the second quarter to try to get the run game going. They had 17 total plays in that second quarter. They held the ball for 7 minutes and 44 seconds, and they ran the ball 7 times. They just absolutely could not get it going, could not get any push consistently. So while the run game was ass, and I don't know, 22 attempts is not as many as I would want the Texas offense to attempt. I can't blame him because it was not good. They weren't making a lot of hay running the football on Wednesday against Arizona State, which is just so frustrating. My initial thoughts were, man, they just ran the ball sideways too much, and it just wasn't a. I don't know if that's 100% the case. I'm still ripping out all the plays, all the running plays, and I'm going to throw them together. We'll have a we'll have a YouTube video on it, so be watching for that. We'll analyze the run game against Arizona State. I'll go through every single play. The running back runs. Yeah, I can't fault Sark. I thought he tried, just didn't happen. Number 4, leave no doubt. We said this is a game where Texas just needs to come in. You got a team in Arizona State that's 11-2. They got a lot of momentum. They got a really good running back. The quarterback is really good too, I think. I think Sam Levitt's going to be a really nice quarterback by the time he's done playing college football. They won the Big 12 in their first year in the Big 12. Just a lot of positive stuff going on for Arizona State. They believe in themselves. They obviously love the coach. If you can get a big lead early, you got to just step down on their neck and crush their throats. They jump out to a 14-3 lead in the first 6 minutes of the game. Don't really do much the first quarter. Then they go on a nice field goal drive at the beginning of the second quarter. I think they ate up around 6 minutes on that drive, 75 yards, something like that. Then they go punt, safety the first 3 drives of the second half. score a touchdown at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Then their final three drives of the regular session of football in the fourth quarter: interception, missed field goal, missed field goal. So this Texas team absolutely did not leave any doubt. I mean, they had them down early, couldn't crush them out. They got ahead 24 to, what was it, 24 to 5, couldn't crush them out. 24 to 8, couldn't crush them out. This is not a fluke. This program, for whatever reason, and I say program because it's from the coaches all the way down to the players to whoever, they just have not learned how to finish teams yet. And God help the team that's on the other end of that stick when they do. I mean, we saw it in the SEC championship game, and we're 2 for 2 in the playoffs now with having opportunities to just finish teams, and they will not do it. They cannot. They don't know how to do it. That's the only thing I can think of. They just don't know how. They're talented. They're explosive. One side of the team will figure out ways to do some nice shit. Then the other side of the team will just give it right back. They just cannot finish anybody. Listen to this. They've scored 6 points in the third quarter of games in their last 6 games. 6 total points in their last 6 games in the third quarter. That is not going to get it done. They're going to have to figure out a way to erase that. They're going to have to figure out a way to flip that really quickly. I did a podcast, man. It might have been the first year under Steve Sarkisian, certainly the second year. I think it was the first year. It was in that little stretch where we had the lead and lost like 5 straight games or something like that. I said, what in the hell happens at halftime? What are they doing? Because whatever it wasn't working. And I clipped it out, put it on TikTok. I got like a bazillion views on it. But I'll ask again, like, what in the hell are they doing at halftime? Why can't they come out and do anything in the second half? It's baffling. I don't know that I've ever seen a team, and I'm sure I have. Let me preface this. I'm sure we have all seen a team that is that hot and cold, especially offensively. I feel like the defense is usually pretty on. And really what we'll see generally is the defense just gets worn out. They're just out there too much. I'm not saying they're perfect. They're not. But I think if the offense holds up its end of the bargain a little more often, we don't see the defense give up points the way they've been giving up points these last couple playoff games. I don't think I've ever seen a team that could be that hot and that cold offensively. I mean, they can score in 10 seconds from the 25-yard line. And I know it wasn't 10 seconds. It was really fast, though. 2 freaking plays, and they were in the damn end zone. And then they won't be able to do shit. I mean, we've been winning games that way. I don't know if it's reasonable to expect headed into a semifinal game and heading into a finals game, hopefully. I don't think it's reasonable to expect that that's going to continue. Like, that has to change. They got to figure out a way to be more consistent on offense. I mean, it's like touchdown in 2 plays or 3 and out with negative yardage. I mean, there's almost no in between. This team very rarely goes on a 5-6 play drive for 35 yards. It's either all or nothing. And believe it or not, those 5 play, 6 play, 35-yard drives where you got to punt it or maybe, I mean, whatever you got to do, those matter. They keep your defense off the field for a little bit. That's like the defensive staff for this team doesn't even have a chance to breathe because you're either scoring really quick or you're turning the ball back over really quick. Oddly enough, players that popped, a lot of offensive players. Quinn Ewers, 20 of 30 for 322 yards, 3 touchdowns. Thought he had a great game. I mean, he wasn't perfect. He missed some. What I thought was really amazing, though, he's 12 for 15 for 137 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 2-point conversion from the 5-minute mark in the fourth quarter on through overtime, including that beautiful 28-yard touchdown on 4th and 13. Man, I got to be honest with you guys. I thought we were done. I was totally in I cannot believe this shit is about to happen mode on 4th and 13. 4th and 13 has got to be up there, like in the clutchiest of clutch type throws a quarterback for the University of Texas has made. Matthew Golden, hell of a route. I mean, it's a great route. He's our number 2 player that popped 7 catches, 149 yards, and a touchdown. Matthew Golden, man, what a player he's become at the University of Texas. There was a lot of people that could have filled in this number 10 spot, or excuse me, this number 3 spot on players that popped, but I had to go with Michael Taft. 10 tackles, 2 pass breakups, big third down tackle late to force a punt in the open field that everybody thought was targeting. And man, I think we talked about this on our Drunk Sean Thoughts. I, I don't think it was targeting. I I see all these tweets. I mean, who's that Joe Tessitore guy that sits in the booth or whatever the hell he does, and they ask him about what did you think of this one? He's tweeting that it had all 4 of the criteria to be a targeting, and I where? I mean, guys, not only did the referees not throw a penalty flag on the field, which almost never happens on any kind of helmet to helmet contact, it went to the review booth. I do think it's funny though how the whole world has lost their mind on this one, and there's all these conspiracy theories. What I don't think is funny is people are actually doxing Michael Taft, putting his number out there, and people are sending him messages and like, come on, man. Whatever you think of the penalty, it's not his fault. He clearly did not try to hurt that guy. If he wanted to, he absolutely could have. He could have ended that guy's career easily. Instead, he just came up and made a form tackle where their helmets happened to bump. Honorable mention, Silas Bolden for the big punt return. We've been calling that, not really calling it, just saying, man, he's got to be able to. He's got to return one at some point this year. He finally does. Big moment to do it. Maybe he's got some more saved up. Andrew Makuba, nice interception late in the game. Made some plays up near the line of scrimmage. Trey Moore with a couple sacks. Colin Simmons getting pressure. The defensive line did an outstanding job in this game. Final thoughts. Again, the offense explosive in spurts, but not consistent. At 5 of their 12 drives, and I'm not counting the one right before half. They got the ball with just a few seconds left. 5 drives out of 12 were 3 and out or worse. Rushing game was bad. They had 9 carries that were over 2 yards. They ain't going to cut it. Again, the defense, pretty good early on against the run, but not their best effort overall. But again, the offense only had the ball for 22 minutes the entire game. The defensive line got tons of pressure on Levitt. Only got the 3 sacks. They affected him almost every single play. There was a handful of plays where Sam Levitt got to just be a quarterback for a minute. Gave up some big plays on the outside down, late in the game. Good for Quinn Ewers, man. Quinn Ewers been getting beat up all season by his own fans. He showed up. He showed up when you absolutely had to show up. That throw to Golden, just nutsy. I don't think the throw was that great. But just ballsy to be like, that's where I'm going with the ball. And get it where he can make a catch. I thought the throw to Gunnar Helm on the very next play in the second overtime was just an absolute beauty. He's moving towards the line of scrimmage and to his left, throws not across his body, but definitely not in line with his body, and just throws a damn dart to Gunnar Helm. And then the 2-point throw was good as well. What do we say? Clutchiest in the I don't know what the hell I just said. It was really cool what I said a minute ago. It don't get more clutch than what Quinn Ewers did. To me, this is a game that you just don't want to talk about, and you just want to forget that it ever happened. It was not good. It was not good. I feel like they got outplayed in almost every category in every way you could in this game. If you go look at the stats on Texas's website, go look at the box score and team stats. They will bold the team with the better stats, and it is like bold, maybe a light one, bold for Arizona. Arizona State, they played a damn good game. You're up 24-8 with 10 minutes left in the game. You get taken to overtime. That is garbage, man. That's meltdown city. But you know what? They end up winning the game. So that's awesome. Their big play ability is what saved them. Punt return for a touchdown, big play to open the game, 4th and 13. There's a saying, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Sometimes it's better to be lucky and good. And that's what Texas was on Wednesday. Real good football team. Got lucky to get out of that one alive. I think they're way more talented than that Arizona State team. You look at them on paper, Ohio State's probably got the best roster in college football. Definitely the best roster left in the semis. Texas is right there with them. But they ain't unbeatable. Texas just has to go play. They have to play a game. Play one. Let's start with one. One game where you just play the whole game. I don't think anybody's asking for like touchdowns every time or points every time. But like, I don't get how do you score in 2 plays and then do nothing for the rest of the first half? How is the second half as abysmal offensively as it was? They are certainly capable, but they have not played near to their capabilities so far in this playoff. And I'll stand on they have not done it at all this season. We saw them get a huge lead up in Ann Arbor against Michigan and just coast the rest of the game. What happened to all gas, no brakes? If Texas is going to beat Ohio State, they're going to have to personify all gas, no brakes. They're not going to be able to do this thing where they get a lead, piss it away, and figure out a way to win late. I don't think you can go to that well that many times, and they've done it. I think the well is dry. I think you guys are going to have to go play a complete football game to beat Ohio State. We'll be back Tuesday with a deep dive on these Ohio State Buckeyes. Find us on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube at Horn Takes. Give us a subscribe. Give us a follow. Won't cost you guys a thing, but we sure do appreciate the support. You can email me at horntakespodcast@gmail.com with all your questions, comments, concerns, and criticisms. We have put Ohio State to bed. It is time to, we have put Arizona State to bed. Time to look forward to those Ohio State Buckeyes and the Cotton Bowl. Texas 11-10-1 in the Cotton Bowl. Looking to not go 500 this Friday. Guys, have a good rest of your Monday. Come back and see us on Tuesday. Y'all get hooked.